Good evening, everybody. Bear with me because I'm sick for the 4th time this semester. So I can't really breathe through my nose, but I'm going to try to get through this video. Welcome to my final self-evaluation for EDEL 4160, how to teach writing to elementary school students. In case you don't know and you're watching this video, I'm Sarah Carlton, but most likely the people that are going to respond to my video are my friends from the class. Shout out to my cohort friends, Jeanette, Regal, Rolando, Jessica, Kristen, and Kendall. Thank you so much for your support and listening to me complain this entire semester. I honestly would not be able to get through this semester if I wasn't able to rely on you to let me know about due dates. Just listen to me complain for emotional support and let me know things to make sure I have everything done and ready to go. So thank you very much to the cohort friends. Also, thank you very much to Dr. Marsh. Thank you for... I know I don't have them right now, but the one thing that I'm going to talk about are the pre-writing activities, which we did as a class. We did the blueprint, where she put on that sad video, and we had to remember about a house where we have memories, and then we drew how the house looked on the outside, or some people didn't do a house, but how it looked on the outside and then how it looked on the inside, and then the memories you have on the outside and the inside. I really liked that assignment, and I was able to, I did a lot of reflecting on those blueprinting activities. I guess that one was my favorite, and that got me thinking about my grandparents. And then actually that activity and the What's in My Heart activity that she showed us on the projector one day, where you make a heart out of construction paper and then you have the kids write who are in their heart, really helped me as a writing teacher, because honestly, being in the classroom, I find that teaching writing is the hardest part of my day, because everything else, it's like, okay, math, do chapter 7, lesson 4, and it's 2 pages. Do language arts, unit 4, week 2, lesson 12. Here's 2 pages. Writing, we have 5 different books. Sometimes it's hard to look through all these different books. The manuals that I use in my class are called, at my school actually, the writing program is called Writing from the Beginning and Beyond, and they have 5 different books to teach writing. And I got this literally the week before school started, and I'm never going to have a chance to read like 5,000 pages between all of them. They're big, fat journals. Not journals, but like spirals and notebooks and stuff. But I was able to remember what Dr. Marsh told us and how she executed these activities in our class, and I was able to, within the same week, or actually not the same week because we had class on Friday, but the following week I was able to do both of those, and I was actually observed with the What's in My Heart, and so the kids were super engaged because it was art and writing. And some of them don't like writing, but all the kids love art. They love coloring, they love drawing, they all want to be good artists. And it was writing, and it helped them find an idea. So I really liked that, and that helped me become a better writing teacher, because it helped me allow my kid, promote fun and promote writing in my own classroom. So even though I don't have those with me, because the samples, they're on the wall in my classroom. The pictures were attached to my case study, and we all did that in class. That was artifact number 1, and that was super helpful as a writing teacher. Also, artifact number 2 comes from the first day we had class with Dr. Marsh. I really liked the touchstones that she put up, like that. It was always the first slide that she put up when we came to class with those stones on the back, and I thought it was also cute because it's touchstones, and there were pictures of stones. Very creative, Dr. Marsh. I really like that when she would say ground yourself. And I wrote them down the first day. It says give and receive welcome, be present, which is super hard when you worked all day and you have all of these other things going on. But I really tried to fully pay attention and give everything that I could, even though I was tired, to that class and participate. Trust and learn from the silence in each other. That was interesting. It's really hard for me to be quiet, but it's helpful because I have to be quiet so I can listen. No fixing, saving, advising, or correcting each other. Okay? That's hard for me because I like to tell people what to do. Also, as a teacher, these touchstones allowed me to consciously take off the teaching hat and put on the student hat. And it's funny because I would never wear a hood like this in my classroom. Anyway, moving on. Open questions. Attend to your inner teacher. That's nice. Because you always think about, like, how can I use this in my own class? How can, every day going to the teaching credential program, how can I make myself a better teacher by what this experienced teacher, Dr. Marsh, can tell us? And then observe with deep confidentiality, because you don't want to tell people off. This was a quote that she wrote, but I'm including this with the touchstones. I think it's a quote at the end of the touchstones. So that was number 2. Number 1 was the blueprints. Number 2 were the touchstones that I wrote down that Dr. Marsh put every day. Number 3 is my my writing. Okay. My writing essay, yeah. You see it? My narrative essay, most of the people, well, my writing partners, not Rigo, because he was not my writing partner. Actually, Jeanette and Rolando were my writing partners this semester. And they read it. But if you have not read my essay or don't remember, I wrote about my experience in teaching. And this whole writing process and going through this writing process as an adult was so helpful. Because, first of all, I majored in psychology in the BA. So I have a hard time. Previous to this was the first time this semester with this class and another class. Well, actually, in the credential program. But actually, this class specifically, I had not written a narrative essay since I was 16. Because after that, it was all like response to text, response to literature. Then in college, I majored in psychology. And it was all empirical research essays. So I totally forgot my voice. And I forgot about the writing process. Because when you write research articles, the process is different in a lit review. I won't go into it because I'm already super over the time. But going back to the writing process and getting ideas actually brought me closer to my student. And I talked about this in the case study. But I had a student who was my case study student, Miguel. And he was getting frustrated and he kept changing his idea to write about. He's like, well, I don't want that topic anymore. I don't want that. And before I started drafting my own narrative essay, I was like, no, Miguel, you need to pick one. Like, this is due in a couple of days. You need to pick one. What is your deal? And then I got into it. And every time I sat down to write in my writing journal, okay, every time I wanted a different topic, so it made me a better writing teacher to do the writing process as a teacher and reconnect with myself and the process that my students have to do. And it made me be more compassionate is the word for my students because I had to do it too. And had I not been forced to, I even feel vulnerable because I'm not used to writing in this way. I was having a lot of trouble. It made me a better teacher of writing to go through the writing process again as a teacher, which brings me to, I believe, the 4th artifact, yes? because the first one was Blueprints. The second one was, I'm not sure now, but the first one was Blueprints. Oh, the second one was the quote that I wrote. This one, the third one is my, what is it called? My narrative writing. And the fourth one is my writing territories. This is another thing that I really liked in the lessons. And I went through and made writing territories, and it made it easier to write. Because sometimes you have an idea, but if you don't flush it all out, or you have a whole bunch of different ideas, and you start to write one and you forget about other stuff. So if you have writing territories, you can always come back to this stuff and think, like, hey, I'm going to go back to this, or these are all important things that I would like to write narratives about, and maybe run these ideas past other people. And I'm going to encourage my students to write writing territories and have a section in their notebook about writing territories, just so that they could gather ideas. And maybe some days you just pre-write and you don't write on them, but you generate ideas. And I really like that. So this was just a new thing that I could add in my classroom. Writing territories. Seemed like a great idea and brought up a whole bunch of feelings. I felt like the writing territories was cathartic. Like, okay, I want to write about my cousins, but what do I want to say about that? Oh, I'm angry or resentful. Let's bring this up later. Maybe we can come to terms through writing. And last but not least, this was my favorite book that we read as a class. When Writers Drive the Workshop by Brian Kissel. This turned me on to writing conferences. I don't know if a lot of you know, but coming into this class, I was just like, well, Writer's Workshop is just a program, and my school doesn't use that program, and I have to do something else. And Dr. Marsh was like, I felt like she was super into, Writer's Workshop. Like, maybe she's one of the people that invented Writer's Workshop, or like, why is she pushing Writer's Workshop so hard? But then I read this book. I was like, oh my god, writing conferences are like the best shit ever in life. I'm so motivated to do writing conferences. And even though my school doesn't use that, I do writing conferences, and I feel like it helps so much. It helps me get close to students. I think writing conferences were brought up in chapter 1 or 2 of When Writers Drive the Workshop book. And I just fell in love with it, and then that made me want to read my book club book, How's It Going? That's all about writing conferences. But this When Writers Drive the Workshop was a really good book. I thought it was super interesting, very informative, and turned me on to writing conferences. Like I said in one of the essays that I wrote, now I believe in the gospel of writing conferences. You will get number 1, get closer to your students. Once they know that they're not going to get in trouble, it's going to be great. Number 2, you're able to see what they can do and when they can do it. You do like a live lesson. So the setup is like, hey, how's it going? What's happening? What do you want to do today? Then they tell you. Then you look at what they want. Then you do a mini lesson. Then you have them try it on their own, and then you check in with them later. It's great. So much improvement. So much socializing. I think if writing conferences is the only thing I take out of the class, but it's totally not. It's definitely one of the best things, and I will continue to do writing conferences for the rest of my time in the classroom. I love that book. Also, big fan of Carl Anderson now, because I was like, oh, writing conferences, Brian Kissel, but then this guy, Carl Anderson, is writing about writing conferences again. So writing conferences are great. When Writers Drive the Workshop was great. It was a good read, especially when you have absolutely no time to read. If I read that book, you know it's good. But anyway, I really want to thank Dr. Marsh for creating a really, just a great experience. I know I wasn't the easiest student to deal with all of my ranting. Maybe I sound complaining. I was stressed out all the time. But I really appreciate the effort that you put in, Dr. Marsh. And the just your presence and the way that you set up the class to be so nurturing. A nurturing environment where people were respected, and it feels like your vibe is just so great. Like, you're such a happy lady, and you bring warmth into the classroom, and it was really good after a stressful week to come into your class. Like, I really looked forward to your class every week to, number one, see you, because you're just so nice and so excited and so happy, and I wish that in my career I can be as happy about going to work as you are. And then you had really great ideas and books, and it felt like we were little kids in a class. And it's interesting to be like a student and a teacher and an elementary teacher, and you've been so supportive, and thank you so much. And I really hope you stay in touch with us. I know I went way over the time limit, but I really hope you like this video and keep in touch. So bye, Dr. Marsh. Bye to all my cohort friends. Hope you enjoy this video.